think we were at Youth Supervisory Church, New Business Tennessee.
In your packet, I presented a memo proposal for consideration of a public pier for fishing. I have heard, not just this year, but at least the last 2 years from boat launch people. I had, Amanda Kusinek, I'm sorry if I slaughtered your name, call, and her son had been wanting to fish on the pier. He was, identified by a resident who notified the police that there was somebody fishing on the boat launch pier, and the police gently came down and explained to her son why that wasn't permitted. I do know from the boat launch people that, last year somebody was fishing on that and their line got caught up in a prop, so I understand that. I also don't know, Jim, about the liability issue of allowing people to fish on the pier. But what I'm asking, based on, a couple of years of people questioning where they could fish on the Beulah, and the waters are supposed to be available to everybody, and yet, if you don't have property, a pier, a boat, you can't rent a boat, being a young person, there are nowhere for our young people to fish. And one of the reasons why fishing is so important is that they learn conservation, they learn ecology, they learn to love nature, and that often leads to career, their direction of a career choice. So I am asking to have the opportunity to speak with the DNR, the management district, Protect Lake Beulah, the yacht club, the fishing clubs in the area, to perhaps find a way that we could create a public space where somebody, either from the shore or from a pier, could engage in fishing. There are so many things that kids shouldn't be doing. This is definitely one of those things that I, as a teacher, would encourage my students to do. And I know my dad is up there, can't believe I'm saying it, but yeah, Dad, you were right. So that's why I approached the board. I didn't think it was appropriate for me to go to any of these organizations as a board member without permission to approach them for either their consideration or their collaboration in finding a way to maybe make the lake available to everybody and not just a few.
I'll make a motion to authorize Supervisor Church to investigate the positives and negatives around public pier for fishing.
Second. Discussion.
Yes, so I have some comments. First, I want to extend a sincere apology to Kim and Barb for my misunderstanding regarding an ordinance change a few years ago that granted all board members the authority to place topics on the agenda without chairman approval. On Thursday, I was under the impression, based on being repeatedly asked if I wanted items to remain on the agenda, that I had some discretion to request the delay or removal of items with appropriate reasoning. I now understand that an ordinance change a few years ago eliminated the clerk's and chairman's sole control over the agenda. With transparency in mind, I am in full support of this ordinance ensuring equal access for all board members to bring items forward for discussion. The second item that came up on this discussion, I'd like to request that we revisit the intent and application of the ordinance amendments we adopted in May concerning the meeting agenda process. When we introduced the consent agenda, we discussed the importance of submitting memos for context and providing advance notice of agenda items. To my knowledge, all board members submitted their agenda topics and associated materials on Monday, July 7th. However, the agenda was not presented to me until Wednesday, and no additional supporting documentation was included. I believe these issues merit further discussions next month so that we can improve transparency and efficiency in our meeting preparation process. Regarding your authorization to investigate the potential for a public fishing pier, I respectfully do not support that effort at this time, for the following reasons. Jurisdiction and statutory oversight. While I agree that a public fishing pier could be a meaningful amenity, particularly for youth, as you have expressed in your memo, I question why this matter is not being initiated by the Lake Beulah Management District, which has direct jurisdiction under Chapter 30 and 33 of Wisconsin statutes. Specifically, Statute 30.13 governs the establishment of public piers on inland lakes. As such, LBMD is the appropriate governing body to explore this issue. If town resources are needed, it should be LBMD that formally approaches the town for collaboration. Second, division of responsibility. LBMD is an independent taxing authority accountable under open meeting laws and responsible to its constituents, just as the town board is to ours. The town's role is to support, not duplicate, the efforts of lake districts. Given that lake-related issues are already consuming a significant portion of the board's time, I am concerned that our focus remains balanced and responsive to the needs of all 4,000 residents, not just those living on or near lakes. Third, ongoing litigation. The town is currently engaged in active litigation with LBMD. Until this matter is resolved and we begin to see meaningful implementation of LBMD-led initiatives, I am not comfortable introducing additional non-urgent lake-related projects at this time. Fourth, wake boat issue demands immediate attention. The town is under intense scrutiny and pressure from the PLD group regarding wake-enhanced boating. This issue is highly complex, requires considerable attention and effort from the board. Frankly, we do not have the bandwidth to take on another lake-related topic at this time. I have an alternate suggestion. Later, you're going to be presenting an ordinance pertaining to the Beulah Heights culvert project.
Yes.
I would prefer to use your capacity or extra capacity, and sincerely appreciate your help on the Beulah Heights culvert project. If necessary, we can add this to next month's agenda to authorize your assistance. This project involves active citizen concerns and would benefit greatly from her attention, directing time and effort toward an issue with immediate and practical impacts for our residents. I do not want to say I am opposed to looking into this and doing it. I just want to make sure the right people are doing it. Lake Beulah Management has land as well, so they could put a pier off of their land if that's something. Chapter 30.13 allows that. So, go ahead.
But in order for the Lake Beulah Management District to know about this problem, somebody needs to go to them. And I don't have permission from the board to approach them unless I get it from you guys first. So that's what I was trying to do with my proposal, was present you the reason why I'm doing this, seek your permission to talk to other entities, and perhaps create a channel for there to be something that does open the lake up to other people. It's not that I was thinking that we would assume all the costs. I was trying to perhaps even go to the fishing clubs, being the park person, sort of involve some recreation and maybe negotiating with the fishing groups that maybe we could organize through the town an opportunity for some of the fishing clubs to take the youth out. I wasn't assuming that this was a project that was financially driven by the town. I needed to use this platform to create a channel of discussion.
Are we really gonna put the kids to the side? I can't believe that was even said up here. I think Supervisor Church is asking for an opportunity to be a liaison between her son and the Lakeview Management District. That is what we are here for, this community. I can't believe that was even said. I call the question.
Is there any other comment?
I would love to see a public hearing as much as everyone else up here. I definitely think it would be nice for the public to have access to Lake Beulah. However, I do somewhat agree that it should be up to Lake Beulah Management District because it is their job to manage the Lake Beulah.
Yes, but it was brought to the town board to
I
take to
understand.
them. That's
Yeah.
our responsibility.
Well, the citizen, I think, maybe redirect them to the management district. That's just my opinion. Everyone's entitled to their own thing, you know.
All right, there was a motion and second.
And the question was called,
Yes,
that
so you have
is
to
discussion.
ask what they're agreeing to.
No.
Okay, so I guess we'll do a roll call.
Don or Nate?
Jones, nay.
Church, I,
Leonard, I.
Okay, motion fails.
Yeah,
The district is happy to.
Definitely, we'll bring it up at our next meeting.
Attorney's report, 11A, signed settlement release for Chief Williams.
Yeah, this is regarding former Chief Jensen. We had a notice of claim that was filed all the way back in 2022. There's been ongoing discussion with the last proposal approved by the board in October of 2024 to agree upon a negotiated value of $5,345.50. That combines a number of different factors that were in play, including an overpayment for a health cost, stipend, public records fees, and it started with a notice of claim and the former chief having to hire counsel to address the allegations from one of the town's former officers that he is corrupt and was running a corrupt department. So, since the board already unanimously approved this dollar figure, we've been waiting for months to get a signed release back, and apparently there was some sort of falling out, I suppose, with the chief and the attorney, because after the town board approved it and we were waiting on the signed release, nothing happened until Chief Jensen walked into my office about 2 weeks ago with the signed release. So now that we have it, I think we can put this matter to bed. It releases the town of all liability, basically regarding his employment with the town. Any claims that he may have thought he had, or things he might have in the future. So it's my recommendation that we go ahead and sign this release.
So I'll make a motion to authorize Chairman Jones to sign the settlement release for former chief of police, Jensen's notice of claim.
Second.
Any discussion?
it's the best of that.
It Precedes
minority
B.
of the board was here at the time.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. 11B,
Yes, we have resolution 2025-7. Town of East Troy, 2025 amended proposal, or proposed borrowing request and authorization pursuant to Wisconsin statute section 67.12, sub 12. It reads, whereas the town board of the town of East Troy hereby finds and determines that it is necessary, desirable, and in the best interest of the town of East Troy, Walworth County, Wisconsin, hereinafter the town, to raise funds for public purposes, including borrow $35,000 for police department equipment, borrow $56,817 for a 2025 squad car purchase, borrow $185 for fire rescue expenditures as determined by the East Troy Area Emergency Services District. Next, borrow $60,000 for DPW equipment, including a brush mower and for a 3-point broom and pre-wet salting equipment. Borrow $299,743 for a 2025 snowplow. Borrow $85,000 for a tractor. Borrow $500,000 for new roads, St. Peter's Road from County Road ES to Town Line Road, and Honey Creek Road from Hams Road to Miller Road. Borrow $56,084 for old roads, that's seal coating from Deer Path to Ravine, Ravine to Beach Road, Horseshoe Lane to County Road J, Fairway Road to East Shore Road, and Brassy Road. Borrow $350,000 for Beulah Heights Road culvert repair, including tree work, potholes, and signs. And whereas the town board hereby finds and determines that funding the cost of the above listed items is within the town's power to undertake, and therefore serves a quote public purpose, end quote, as that term is defined in section 67.04 sub 1 sub B of the Wisconsin statutes. Now therefore be it resolved, 1, that the town shall borrow the sum of $1,673,829 on the terms set in a 14-year loan instrument due no later than 14 years from the date the note is executed for the financing of the above referenced items, with said principal and interest to be levied as a direct annual irreplaceable tax upon all property in the town, and establish a debt service fund as required by section 67.11 of the Wisconsin statutes. Said note shall be with Citizens Bank. Said terms of the note shall include an interest rate of 5.5% and the date of installment payments. The note and amortization schedule shall be attached hereto as Exhibit A, and incorporated herein by reference. Prepayment of this loan is allowed. 2, for the purpose of paying the principal of and interest on the note as the same becomes due, full faith, credit, and resources of the town are hereby irrevocably pledged, and there is hereby levied upon all of the taxable property in the town a direct annual irrepealable tax in the years the loan is in existence. 3, so long as any principal of or interest on the note remains unpaid, the town shall and continue without power to repeal such levy or obstruct the collection of said tax until all such payments have been made or provided for. After the issuance of the note, said tax shall be, from year to year, carried on to the tax roll of the town and collected in addition to all other taxes and in the same manner and at the same time as other taxes of the town for said years are collected. 4, there being there be and there hereby is established in the treasury of the town, if one had not already been created, a debt service fund, separate and distinct from every other fund, which shall be maintained in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles and pursuant to Wisconsin statute section 67.11. Within the debt service fund, there is hereby established a separate and distinct account designated for the borrowed funds herein, and such account shall be maintained until the indebtedness evidenced by the note is fully paid or otherwise extinguished. 5. All prior resolutions, rules, or other actions of the town board, or any parts thereof in conflict with the provisions hereof shall be, and the same are hereby rescinded, insofar as the same may so conflict. In the event that any one or more provisions of this resolution shall, for any reason, be held to be illegal or invalid, such illegality or invalidity shall not affect any other provision hereof. 6. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon adoption and approval in the manner provided by law, dated July 2025.
It's not a ordinance or.
We don't need a second reading.
So, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion that we approve the 2025 amended proposal borrowing request and authorization pursuant to Wisconsin statute 67.12 sub 12.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The last item is a draft temporary ordinance. I have stamped draft on the copy that should be signed because prior to final board approval, it needs to be submitted to the Department of Natural Resources for review. So tonight we are signing a draft if it's approved. And this is an ordinance to temporarily regulate boating upon Lake Beulah to allow for Beulah Heights Road culvert repair work and prescribing penalties for violations thereof. It reads, whereas the town of East Troy is preparing to reconstruct the culvert at Beulah Heights Road in the town of East Troy, Walworth County, Wisconsin. And whereas this ordinance is adopted pursuant to Wisconsin statutes, chapter 30. And whereas the town board finds that the regulations contained herein are in the interest of public health, safety, or welfare, including the public's interest in preserving the state's natural resources during the reconstruction of Beulah Heights Road culvert, and are consistent with the provisions of Wisconsin statutes, chapter 30. And whereas the town clerk has submitted this ordinance to the Department of Natural Resources for review at least 60 days prior to the town taking final action on the ordinance pursuant to the requirements of section 30.77 sub 3 sub D of the Wisconsin statutes. Now therefore, town board of the town of East Troy, Walworth County, Wisconsin, do hereby ordain as follows. Section 1, applicability, restrictions, and enforcement. A, applicability. An ordinance to temporarily regulate boating upon the waters of Lake Beulah in the vicinity of Beulah Heights Road culvert in the town of East Troy, Walworth County, Wisconsin, and prescribing penalties for violations thereof. B, restrictions. No person shall operate any type of boat within the water area which has been clearly marked by signs as a restricted use area pursuant to its Wisconsin statute section 30.74 sub 2. This area is defined as the entrances and exits of the passageway underneath Beulah Heights Road and the waters in the immediate vicinity of the reconstruction work within the construction footprint as identified for the purposes of the town's bridge reconstruction project that is scheduled to commence after Labor Day 2025. Said restriction is temporary, and all travel in the restricted area referenced above will resume once the temporary restriction signs are removed. Signs will be placed according to plans approved by the Wisconsin Department of Transportation and on file with the town of East Troy or the project engineer, Lynch and Associates. C, enforcement. This ordinance shall be enforced by any law enforcement officer authorized to enforce the laws of the state of Wisconsin. Section 2, intent. The intent of this ordinance is to provide safe and healthful conditions for the enjoyment of aquatic recreation consistent with public rights and interests, and the capability of the water resources during replacement of Beulah Heights Road culvert in the waters of Beulah. Section 3, state voting and safety laws adopted. State voting laws as found in sections 30.50 to 30.71 of the Wisconsin statutes are adopted by reference, should be herein. Section 4, waterway sign placement, maintenance, buoy standards, and contracted services. A, placement of waterway markers. An approved waterway marker permit from the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources is required prior to any waterway marker placement per Wisconsin Administrative Code NR 5.09 sub 3. B, maintenance of waterway markers. The waterway marker permit applicant is responsible for the placement, maintenance, and upkeep of said waterway markers pursuant to NR Administrative Code NR 5.09 sub 4. See waterway marker standards. Anyone placing any waterway marker signs or buoys shall conform to the rules and regulations of the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources and to those found in the permit requirements itself. D, contracted services. Any and all waterway markers, buoys, or signs identified in this ordinance after an approved waterway marker permit from the WDNR has been issued may be placed and maintained by contracted services managed through the waterway marker permit applicant. In addition, the permit applicant may, at any time, change, amend, or terminate such agreement for any cost. Section 4, penalties. Wisconsin state voting penalties found in the space there in section 30.80 Wisconsin statutes and deposits established in the uniform deposit and bail schedule established by the Wisconsin Judicial Conferences are hereby adopted by reference, and all references to fines amended to forfeitures and all references to imprisonment are deleted. Section 5, severability. The provisions of this ordinance shall be deemed severable, and it is expressly declared that the town of East Troy Town Board would have passed the other provisions of this ordinance irrespective of whether or not one or more provisions may be declared invalid. If any of the provisions of this ordinance, or if the application to any person or circumstance is held invalid, the remainder of the ordinance and the application of such provisions to other persons or circumstances shall not be affected. Section 6, duration of voting regulations. The restrictions will be in place during the entire construction duration of Beulah Heights Road culvert repair, anticipated to last up to 8 weeks and commencing after Labor Day 2025. Section 7, posting requirements. The town of East Troy shall place and maintain a synopsis of this ordinance at all public access points within the jurisdiction of the town of East Troy, pursuant to the requirements of NR 5.15 of the Wisconsin Administrative Code. Section 8, sunset clause. This ordinance shall expire once completion of the project is done, and all signage regarding the travel restriction in the vicinity of and under Beulah Heights Road in the waters of Lake Beulah have been removed. Section 9, effective date. This ordinance will become effective upon its passage and publications may be required by law after approval of the language of this temporary ordinance by review of the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. Passes blank day of whenever you're gonna pass it.
That'll be cleaned up and then
submitted to him.
Yeah, okay.
So approved with edits.
I make a motion that we waive the second reading of resolution 2025-7, the town of East Troy 2025 amended proposed borough.
No,
That's
that's
not-
all right.
Sorry. I'll withdraw my motion. Maybe the second.
No one seconded the first.
Yeah, no one,
So go
okay.
ahead.
Alright, I would like to make an dang. I'd like to make a motion that we waive the second reading of ordinance number 2025-5, an ordinance to temporarily regulate voting upon Lake Beulah to allow for the Beulah Heights Road culvert repair work and prescribing penalties for violations thereof.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. So, we're on to.
No, we don't need a motion. I make a motion to approve ordinance 2025-5, lake restrictions to allow Beulah Heights Road culvert repair, approval with edits.
And pending our approval?
And
As a draft.
Yeah, that pending DNR approval is actually in the.
as a draft, right?
Yes, as a draft.
As a draft, okay.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries now, I think. So we're on to special and pending meetings. Clerk, you can.
There is a Bluefoot Park meeting, July 16th at 6:30. July 31st, the second half of taxes are due and payable to the Walker County Treasurer and mailed to them, not to us. I received too many in the mail. Yes,
July 24th, East Troy Emergency Services District at 5:30.
5:30.
Yep.
August 6th and 10th, the planning commission meetings,
That should be the 20th, not the 10th.
what?
Should be the 6th and the 20th, not the 6th and the 10th.
Oh,
Every 2 weeks.
okay. August 11th is the next town board meeting, and September 1st, the town hall will be closed for Labor Day.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Oh.
No, we've
Okay.
seen
More
more
agenda.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Mary?
What is left?
So we're gonna review bills to pay
We have to schedule some decision meetings.
for the contract.
I reached out to the police department's new union, and they will be sending me dates for union contract negotiations. And as soon as I get these, I will pass them along to see about availability for everybody. As for budget workshops, we really can't set those yet until we get union or all contracts ourselves. So we need to do contracts in August, and start budget workshops in September. Now we can review bills for payment.
Oh, we can't, we don't, we're not setting contract.
I have to wait till I get dates from the union contract, and then I will send them to you.
What about-
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
We can take care of bills after we close.
Yeah.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.